So one of the things that I thought was superb by Usman in this fight was his ability to time his takedown entries. He was very good at reading Buckley's movement patterns. If Buckley stepped forward, he was able to get a hold of a single leg and pretty much run him into it. When he sensed that Buckley was going to step forward, he would just time that step forward and immediately start his entry. But that takedown that he had in round 2 with the double leg was sweet. He timed the moment Buckley was going to step back, and he just covered so much ground and distance with that takedown. To be able to do that at his age with the type of knees that he has is insane. So eventually, to prevent the double leg attempts from Usman, Buckley's corner started to call for him to go bladed. And I thought the adjustment was meh. Yes, he threw Usman off his game a little, but in reality, he still got taken down, and his offense was neutralized because he had to go bladed. There's only a few guys in the UFC that can go bladed and still be a dangerous striker, and Buckley's not one of them. I thought Usman's feints were super sharp in this fight. It was a great add-on to the threat of the takedown because it was the source of everything. Usman likes to feint the single leg, and when he did, you literally saw Usman draw attacks from Buckley. He was drawing out counters and sprawls, but I just wished he would have worked off of it a little more just because you don't want to feint and not capitalize. Like, look at Izzy. That man throws 400 feints and sometimes he won't even work off it. Usman's known for having a hard thudding jab, and typically in an open stance battle like this, it's generally hard to land the jab against a southpaw fighter. But credit to Buckley's boxing defense, because it was very elusive and slippery for Usman to find his jab. One example is this crossguard that Buckley uses here, where Usman just couldn't find the target to set up the jab. You can see he has the left parry up and the right elbow up as well. It's kind of similar to the high elbow guard from Dustin Poirier. It's just that's a different variation to what we're talking about here. This crossguard defensive look is actually quite effective in MMA. But another thing that he added was just head movement. He was just slipping side to side, and since Usman doesn't really vary his jab, it wasn't too hard for Buckley to defend. Buckley was very active and initiative in this fight. You saw him throw multiple extended combos or blitzes in this fight. You saw 3 or 4 punch combos that consisted of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. However, Usman did a fantastic job of defending these for the most part. What he did was just drop his chin inside his long guard. So he would throw up a long guard, but instead of keeping his chin up in the air, he would drop it down and hide it within his shoulders. And this was great because it was a simple basic move that was extremely effective. A lot of times people think defense is something that needs to be flashy, when in reality it can be basic fundamental changes that produces championship results. So because Usman didn't really give up ground and decided to just stand his ground instead with his defense, it led to a lot of collisions. Collisions meaning Buckley would come forward with his combinations, but because Usman didn't step back and create space, Buckley would just run right into Usman. So this is where Usman started to look for more Thai plums, just grabbing a hold of his head, controlling it, and landing short shots. Perfect tactic to neutralize a wild puncher in this case. Other times I thought Usman did a good job circling back to the center and never placed himself in a position to potentially get pinned up against the fence. He would back up, create space, and then circle to his right. However, I thought Buckley missed out big time on certain exchanges because there were exchanges where he was leading with a lot of uppercuts and flying knees with no setup, and at the wrong distance. And I was just thinking to myself, like, why? Why would you do that? Because there were some exchanges where Buckley needed to end his combos with some sort of kick, knee, or uppercut because of how Usman was defending against him. And when he did, he landed some of his most damaging strikes of the fight. Usman is dropping his head down. He can't see what's going on up top because he's already anticipating it. And because he's dropping down, Buckley could have ran Usman into a knee or an uppercut. But that's an experience and IQ issue to where Buckley just wasn't there yet. I think where Buckley had the edge in this fight was the mental aspect, the conditioning aspect, and the grittiness aspect. He had those traits to become champ in that category. But skill and intelligence wise, it was clear that he was still levels below where he thought he was. He wasn't good enough in that department to compete against the best. And all in all, to conclude this performance by Usman, what I took away from it was that Kamaru Usman showed that he's still clearly dangerous. He's not quote unquote washed like how everyone made him out to be. However, even though I'm saying Usman is not quote unquote washed, meaning he's not substantially worse, he did decline to a degree on the feet. His striking has taken a step back. The main thing I noticed was his footwork. I didn't like the last 2 rounds of how he looked on the feet. I thought the first 2 rounds defensively he was good, The last 2 rounds, it looked like he couldn't move his feet quickly. Like there was no like fast twitch ability whatsoever. As Buckley increased the pressure and the output, Usman was like stuck in the pocket. It was like his feet was like concrete to the ground, like his feet was like stuck in quicksand. Almost like he needed to take a beat in order to move, and he got touched up more than he probably liked. I didn't like how he was just so intent in standing in the pocket. To me, I don't think he's versatile enough in his striking defense to say, I can ride this formula to where I have the defensive ability to not get hit on the feet by some of these top guys, just enough to the point where I can close the distance and get to his hips. I think mentally he's also reluctant to try to be free defensively because of what happened against Leon Edwards. Because during his title reign, he was actually quite slippery, but obviously after getting knocked out, you would think he probably doesn't want to move side to side as much. He also doesn't make his defense count either. Like he has no counterpunching ability whatsoever. His offense is still good, but the main concern for me there is output. Like at the age of what, 37? Can he throw enough to put himself in positions to land takedowns? Because Usman doesn't really fight at a high pace. Like you saw the pace difference in this fight on the feet. Usman was very one and done. And if you're going to be one and done, you gotta be super sharp and accurate. So here's the thing. Wrestling, superb. He still has it to the point where certain fighters will have real problems dealing with it. But his striking evolution as he became champ was what really carried him to the promised land. It was like the missing piece that propelled him to championship contention. So he's still good enough to be a threat because of his wrestling, but he's not good enough to the point where we can sit here and be like, he has a damn good shot at becoming champion. He still has a chance, but he doesn't have a great chance. Like right now, if they book him in JDM, if Usman doesn't get the takedown, to which I think he will, but in the chance that he doesn't, he's going to get picked apart easily by a guy like JDM. JDM will carve up his defense. Or let's say Islam beats JDM, to which I think will happen. I'm not sure if Usman even has a comfortable chance beating Islam. Like I think that's a bad matchup for Usman. The wrestling cancels each other out. Islam is much more intelligent and technical on the feet. He's going to be able to land easily on Usman. He might even take Usman down as well. And I hate to say all of this because when he was champ, he was such an active champion. But as of right now, it looks like he only has enough to just be a #1 contender.